The throne room was huge. It was made from black stone that seemed to glow softly in the light. Commander Jake Morrison stood in a straight line with 5 other human soldiers. All of them wore their best uniforms with shiny medals. Jake's heart was beating fast. He was more nervous now than he had been in any battle. Around them stood 10,000 alien warriors called Valorans. They were tall, much taller than humans. Their skin looked like shining silver metal. Their eyes glowed with a strange light. Every single one of them looked powerful and dangerous. 6 months ago, Jake and his team had saved the Valoran Empire from being destroyed. An evil enemy had trapped the Valoran space fleet in a dangerous place called the Crimson Nebula. The Valorans were brave fighters, but the enemy knew how they fought. The enemy was winning. Then the human forces came to help. Jake had suggested a crazy plan to his commander. Instead of fighting the normal way, they used the nebula's dangerous radiation to hide their ships. Then they attacked the enemy from many different directions at the same time. The enemy got confused. The plan worked. The Valorans won the battle because humans think differently than everyone else. Now, Emperor Theron sat on his throne. He was the ruler of the Valorans. He was huge, even bigger than other Valorans. His arms were covered with scars from many battles. He looked like someone who had never lost a fight. Next to the emperor stood his daughters, the princesses. Princess Zara stood on the right side. She wore battle armor that looked like it had been used in real wars. She had weapons on her belt. Her eyes were cold and strong. She looked like she could kill someone just by looking at them. 2 more warrior princesses stood nearby. They also wore armor and carried weapons. They stood perfectly still, like statues made of stone. But Jake noticed a 4th princess. She was hiding in the shadows at the edge of the platform. She was smaller than her sisters. She wore a simple blue dress, not armor. Her silver hair hung loose around her face. While her sisters stared straight ahead like soldiers, this princess's glowing eyes moved around the room. She looked curious about everything. Jake had noticed her the moment he walked in. More importantly, he noticed how she reacted when she saw the book tucked in his jacket. It was a book about human history. For just 1 second, her face showed pure happiness. Then she quickly hid it and looked down at the floor. "Defenders of our empire," Emperor Theron's voice boomed through the hall. "You saved our nation. You have earned our gratitude. Now, ask for any reward you want. If we can give it, we will." The first soldier asked for a spaceship. The emperor said yes. The second soldier asked for land on a mining planet. The emperor agreed. The third asked for advanced weapon technology. The emperor nodded. The fourth wanted money, enough money to be rich for life. The emperor gave permission. Then it was Jake's turn. He stepped forward. Every eye in the giant room turned to look at him. He looked up at the royal family on their platform. Princess Zara stared at him with pride. The other warrior princesses did the same. The 4th princess looked at the floor, trying to be invisible. Jake took a deep breath. "I choose Princess Lyra Shen Valoria," he said clearly and loudly. "I ask to marry her." Complete silence filled the room. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Then everyone started talking at once. Valoran warriors shouted in shock and confusion. Jake's own commander stared at him like he had gone crazy. The human ambassador's face turned white with fear. "What is the meaning of this?" Princess Zara's voice cut through the noise. Her hand moved to her weapon. "You insult us by choosing the weakest one." Emperor Theron raised his hand. Everyone became quiet again. The emperor's face showed no emotion, but his eyes were sharp and calculating. "Commander Morrison," the emperor said slowly, "do you understand what you are asking for?"
"I believe I do, Your Majesty," Jake replied. "I do not think you do." The Emperor stood up from his throne. His full height made him look even more powerful. "Princess Lyra is not like her sisters. She has a condition that keeps her away from battles, politics, and all important matters." Jake noticed the Emperor chose his words very carefully. He didn't call it a weakness, he called it a condition. "I know she's a scholar, not a warrior. That's exactly why I—" "It is not that simple," the Emperor interrupted. He walked down the steps, coming closer to Jake. "There is an ancient reason why no one has ever been allowed to marry Princess Lyra. To marry her means accepting a burden that has destroyed others before you." People began to whisper to each other. Even Jake's fellow soldiers looked worried. "What burden?" Jake asked. The Emperor's face became dark and serious. "A curse, Commander Morrison. Anyone who tries to bond with her bloodline dies. It has killed everyone who tried for the past 3 generations." Jake felt cold fear run through his body. In the shadows, Princess Lyra closed her eyes. For the first time, Jake could see her face clearly. She was crying.
They took Jake to a secret room deep inside the palace. The walls were covered with strange alien writing that seemed to move when he looked away. The air felt heavy and hard to breathe. Security fields hummed with power that made his teeth hurt. Princess Lyra sat across from him. Up close, Jake could see she was different from her sisters. Her skin was almost see-through. Dark silver lines ran under her skin like thin wires. They glowed softly, pulsing with some kind of energy. "You should take back your choice," Lyra said quietly. Her voice was soft but sad. "My father will let you choose again. Pick Princess Zara instead. She is strong and perfect." "I don't want perfect," Jake said, leaning forward. "I want the truth. When you saw my book in the throne room, you looked at it like you were dying of thirst and it was water. Why?" Lyra's eyes flickered brighter for just a moment. "You noticed that?" "I notice everything. That's why I'm still alive." Jake paused. "Tell me about this curse." Lyra stood and walked to the window. Outside, the alien city glowed with millions of lights. "It's not a curse," she whispered. "It's a trap, a death trap built into my blood." "Explain." 300 years ago, my great-grandmother found something terrible." Lyra's voice shook. "She discovered the truth about where the Valorans really came from. We're not from this galaxy. We ran here 12,000 years ago, escaping from something so horrible that our ancestors erased all memory of it." Jake waited. He had learned when to stay quiet and listen. "My great-grandmother found old data that survived, secret instructions, information about a weapon." Lyra turned to face him. Her eyes were full of fear and pain. "The Valorans built this empire on top of an ancient weapon, a weapon that can destroy entire solar systems. Billions of people, gone in seconds." Jake's soldier mind understood immediately, and your great-grandmother wanted to destroy it. "She wanted to understand it first," Lyra said, "but the Imperial Council decided that knowledge was too dangerous, so they created the protocol." "What protocol?" "The binding." Lyra sat back down. Her hands were shaking. "Every member of my family who has the scholar gene, the ones who can naturally access the forbidden archives, we are marked. Our DNA is changed. If we connect with anyone through marriage or deep love, both people trigger a biological countdown." The room suddenly felt colder. "How long do we have?" 90 days. Lyra said, her voice breaking. "After that, our brains start breaking down. First, you lose memories. Then you can't move your body. Then your mind collapses completely. My great-grandmother's husband died screaming. Then she died.
My grandmother watched it happen and never married anyone. But my mother... Tears ran down Lyra's face. My mother fell in love with my father anyway. They tried to hide it, but the protocol's creators found out. They activated the countdown manually. Your father let them kill your mother? My father was away fighting a war. He didn't know until it was too late. She was already dying when he came home. Lyra looked into Jake's eyes. He has spent 20 years trying to break the protocol, but it's woven into our genes so deeply that even Valoran technology cannot remove it safely. So you see, Commander Morrison, I am poison. To choose me is to choose death in 90 days. Jake sat back, thinking hard. This explained everything. Why Lyra lived in the shadows, why her sisters treated her with pity instead of respect, why the Emperor looked genuinely worried instead of angry. "Can I ask you something?" Jake finally said. "Yes. Why do you love books so much?" For the first time, Lyra smiled. It was sad, but real. "Because they are my only escape from this prison. I have spent my whole life learning about other species, other worlds, other ways of thinking. Humans fascinate me most. You are so chaotic, unpredictable. You won the Crimson Nebula battle by breaking every rule of war. And you think differently than your people," Jake observed. "That's why they locked away your family's knowledge, not because it was dangerous to the Empire, because it was dangerous to the way Valorans think." Lyra's eyes went wide. "No one has ever understood that before." "I understand more than you realize." Jake stood up. "I'm not taking back my choice. You will die, maybe, but I have a better plan." He moved toward the door. "How would you feel about breaking into the Forbidden Archives?" Lyra stared at him like he had grown two heads. "That's impossible. The security alone would kill us. I once snuck onto an enemy command ship using nothing but stolen codes and confidence." Jake smiled. "Impossible just means nobody has figured it out yet." The door suddenly burst open before Lyra could answer. Emperor Theron stood there with royal guards. His face was hard and angry. "Commander Morrison, we need to talk about why you really chose my daughter." Behind the Emperor, Jake could see Princess Zara standing in the hallway. She was smiling, but it was not a kind smile. It was the smile of a hunter who had just cornered her prey. And in Zara's hand, she held a glowing device that Jake recognized from intelligence briefings. A neural scanner, the kind that reads memories, the kind that would reveal every secret Jake was hiding, including the one that would get both him and Lyra executed before sunrise.
The neural scanner in Princess Zara's hand glowed red. It pulsed with energy that could rip every memory from Jake's brain and display it for everyone to see. "Wait!" Lyra stepped in front of Jake. "You cannot do this. It violates—" "Silence!" Emperor Theron's voice shook the walls. "This human came here with secrets. I will know the truth before another minute passes." Jake's mind raced. The scanner would reveal everything. His real mission, the orders from Earth Command, the truth about why he really chose Lyra. And when they learned that truth, both he and Lyra would be dead within the hour. "Your Majesty," Jake said, raising his hand slowly, "before you scan me, ask yourself one question. Why would Princess Zara have a military-grade neural scanner ready right now? Those devices take an hour to power up. She activated it before she even knew you would question me." Emperor Theron's eyes flickered toward his daughter. "Zara?" "He's trying to manipulate you, Father," Zara said smoothly, but Jake saw her grip tighten on the scanner. "I activated it because I suspected his intentions from the moment he chose Lyra. A human choosing the cursed princess? It made no sense, unless," she smiled coldly, "unless he knew about the Forbidden Archives, unless Earth Command sent him here to steal our secrets." The room went silent. "Is this true?" The Emperor's voice was deadly quiet. "Did your government send you to spy on us?" Jake took a breath. "Yes."
Lyra gasped. The Emperor's face went dark with rage. The guards raised their weapons. "But not for the reason you think," Jake continued quickly. "Earth Command did send me here with a mission. They told me to get close to your family, to learn about the Forbidden Archives, but they didn't tell me why. I only found out 3 days ago when I broke into my own commander's encrypted files." "What did you find?" Emperor Theron demanded. "I found evidence that someone in this room is working with the Krillians," Jake said. "Someone has been feeding them information for 2 years. Someone who wants the ancient weapon activated." "Lies," Zara shouted. "Father, he's desperate." The communications came from inside the palace, encrypted messages sent on royal channels. I couldn't decode them, but I traced their origin point. He looked directly at Zara. They came from the War Council chambers, chambers only you and the Emperor can access. Emperor Theron's face went pale. "Zara, tell me this is not true." "Of course it's not true." Zara's voice was sharp. "Father, he's obviously—" Suddenly, alarms exploded through the palace. Red emergency lights flooded the room. A holographic display materialized in the air, showing a critical alert. "Forbidden Archives breach. Cradle weapon activation sequence initiated. Time to full power, 4 hours." "No," the Emperor whispered. "That's impossible. The cradle requires genetic authorization from the royal bloodline and someone with completely different brain patterns, someone not Valoran, someone like one of my fellow soldiers." The holographic display changed. It showed security footage from the Forbidden Archives. A figure in a human military uniform stood at an ancient control panel, hands pressed against glowing symbols. But something was wrong with the figure. Its movements were too smooth, too perfect. As they watched, the figure's face rippled like water, shifting between human features and something else, something with gray skin and black eyes. "Shapeshifter," Emperor Theron breathed. "A Krillian infiltrator." "Lieutenant Hayes," Jake said, his voice hollow. "He was replaced 4 days before we arrived. I should have noticed. He was my friend for 5 years, but something felt off." "If the cradle reaches full power," Lyra said, her voice shaking, "it will turn this solar system star into a weapon. It will broadcast a signal that forces every mind within 5 light-years into a hive consciousness. Billions of people will lose themselves. They will become slaves to whoever controls the cradle." The Emperor moved toward the door. "Deploy all combat teams. Kill the infiltrator before—" "You can't," Lyra shouted. "The cradle has defense protocols. If the operator dies before the sequence completes, it will detonate the star immediately. Everyone in this system dies in 30 seconds. "Then what do we do?" The Emperor turned to his daughter, and for the first time, Jake saw fear in the mighty ruler's eyes. Lyra looked at Jake. "The binding. We have to complete it." "What are you talking about?" Zara demanded. "The curse isn't a curse," Lyra said quickly. "It's an authorization protocol. The cradle requires 2 minds working together, one with royal Valoran genetics, one with completely alien brain patterns. If Jake and Lyra finish the binding ceremony, we can interface with the cradle and shut it down safely." "But the 90-day countdown," the Emperor said. "You will both die." "Better 2 deaths than billions," Jake said firmly. "There's something else," Lyra whispered. She held up her hands. The silver lines under her skin were glowing brighter, pulsing faster. "The binding already started," she said. "When Jake chose me in the throne room, when our eyes met, it began automatically. I can feel the cradle calling to me. It's been waiting for me my whole life." The holographic display updated. "Cradle activation, 32% complete. Time remaining, 3 hours, 47 minutes. "We need to go now," Jake said. "No." Princess Zara stepped forward, and her face was cold. "There is another way." She pressed a button on her armor. Instantly, a force field surrounded Lyra, trapping her in a glowing cage. "Zara, what are you doing?" the Emperor roared. "Saving the Empire, Father." Zara's voice was calm, too calm. "The binding requires royal blood and an alien mind, but it doesn't specify which royal or which alien." She pulled off her armor's gauntlet. Underneath, her skin rippled. Gray skin, black eyes. "No," the Emperor whispered, stumbling backward. The Princess Zara smiled with teeth that were too sharp. "I am not your daughter, old fool. The real Zara died 2 years ago. I have been wearing her face, learning your secrets, waiting for this moment." She looked at Jake. "Your commander didn't send you here to spy. I manipulated his orders. I needed someone smart enough to choose Lyra, but dumb enough to think it was his own idea." "Why?" Jake demanded. "Because the binding works both ways. Once completed, the operator controls the cradle permanently. The Krillians will finally have the weapon we need to unify this entire galaxy under one consciousness, starting with you, Commander Morrison." She moved toward him, her hand outstretched. In her palm, something glowed, something that looked exactly like the silver lines under Lyra's skin. "All I need is your willing touch," she said softly, "and the binding will complete, with me, not with Lyra." Behind the force field, Lyra screamed and pounded against the barrier. The Emperor drew his weapon, but guards Jake had thought were loyal suddenly surrounded him. More shapeshifters. The infiltration was deeper than anyone imagined. Jake had 1 second to make a choice. Touch the fake Zara's hand and complete the binding, giving the Krillians ultimate power, or refuse and watch the cradle detonate the star, killing everyone in the system in less than 4 hours. The countdown continued. 3 hours 46 minutes, 3 hours 45 minutes, and in the forbidden archives, the ancient weapon hummed louder, waiting.
Jake stared at the fake Zara's outstretched hand. Behind the force field, Lyra was screaming, pounding against the barrier until her fists bled silver blood. 3 hours and 45 minutes until the star exploded. "Choose, human," the shapeshifter hissed. "Touch my hand and save billions, or let them all die." Jake smiled. "You made one mistake." "What mistake?" "You assumed I came here alone." Jake pressed a hidden button on his belt. Instantly, the palace lights died. Emergency power kicked in, but for 3 seconds, everything was dark. In those 3 seconds, chaos erupted. The force field around Lyra flickered and died. She dropped to the floor, gasping. The shapeshifter guards around the Emperor suddenly collapsed, their disguises melting away to reveal modified human combat drones. "What is this?" the fake Zara shrieked. "Insurance," Jake said. "I knew something was wrong days ago, so I built a backup plan. Those guards you thought were yours, I replaced them 6 hours ago with remote-controlled decoys." Emperor Theron stared in shock. "How?" "I'm a tactical officer. I planned for betrayal." Jake moved toward Lyra, helping her stand. "But we still have a problem. The real infiltrator is still in the archives, activating the cradle." "No," the fake Zara laughed. "You still don't understand. There is no infiltrator in the archives." The holographic display changed. The security footage showing the shapeshifter at the cradle controls flickered and revealed the truth. It was a recording, a loop. There was nobody in the archives at all. "The cradle doesn't need an operator," fake Zara continued. "It activated itself the moment Jake chose Lyra. The ancient weapon has been waiting for this moment for 300 years, waiting for someone with royal blood to finally feel a connection strong enough to trigger the awakening." Lyra's face went white. "No, that means—" "It means your great-grandmother was right," fake Zara said. "The cradle isn't just a weapon. It's alive, a library of souls, millions of minds stored inside it, waiting to live again." Emperor Theron stepped forward. "What are you saying?" "The Valerons who fled here 12,000 years ago didn't run from a threat. They ran from immortality. The cradle offered them eternal life by uploading their minds, but they saw what it really meant, to live forever inside a machine, to never truly die, but never truly live either. So they locked it away. And now it wants revenge," fake Zara said with a twisted smile, "for being abandoned, for being locked in darkness for millennia. The cradle will force every living mind in this system to upload. You'll all become part of it, forever." The countdown continued. 3 hours, 22 minutes. Jake's mind raced. "Lyra, if the cradle is alive, can you communicate with it?" It's not that simple. It's too powerful, too old. It sees me as a key, not a person. She grabbed his hand. Jake, there might be a way. If we complete the binding together, we might be able to negotiate with it, convince it to shut down peacefully. Or, fake Zara interrupted, you'll both be absorbed into it, and the cradle will have 2 more minds to add to its collection. Enough, Emperor Theron's voice boomed. Zara, or whoever you are, you will tell me where my real daughter is, now. The shapeshifter laughed. You want to know where Zara is? She's standing right in front of you. What? I'm not a shapeshifter, father. The fake Zara's voice changed, becoming younger, more vulnerable. I am Zara, but I've been infected. Her skin rippled again, but this time Jake could see it wasn't a disguise changing. It was something fighting inside her, like 2 beings struggling to control the same body. 2 years ago, during the border wars, I was captured by the Krillians. They put something inside me, a parasite. It takes control of my body sometimes, makes me do things, say things. I've been fighting it, trying to warn you, but it's too strong. Emperor Theron stumbled backward. Zara, my daughter. I'm still here, Papa, she whispered, and tears ran down her face. But I'm losing. The parasite is winning. In a few more minutes, I'll be gone forever. It will have complete control. In the real Zara's eyes met Lyra's. Sister, I'm sorry. I tried to stop it. I tried to warn you, but it knew. It used my memories, my security clearance, everything. And now, she gasped as her body convulsed. Now it's making me do one last thing. Her hand, moving against her will, pressed a final command on her armor. A new holographic display appeared. Palace shield generators offline. External threat detected. Krillian warfleet entering orbit. Time to bombardment, 12 minutes. No, the Emperor breathed. Jake looked up through the window. In the sky, hundreds of dark ships were appearing, blocking out the stars. The Krillian armada had arrived, and they had 12 minutes before the palace was destroyed. The binding, Lyra said, gripping Jake's hand tighter. We have to do it now. It's the only way. If we merge with the cradle, maybe we can use it to stop them. You'll die in 90 days, Jake said. We'll die in 12 minutes if we don't try. In the sky, the Krillian ships began charging their weapons. The air crackled with energy. Inside Zara's body, the parasite smiled with her face. Too late, humans. The fleet will take the cradle, and with it, they'll take the galaxy. Lyra looked at Jake. Trust me? Jake looked at her. This princess who spent her life alone. This scholar who loved books more than weapons. This woman who was willing to sacrifice everything. Always, he said. They pressed their foreheads together. The silver lines under Lyra's skin exploded with light, racing across to Jake's skin, burning their way into his nervous system. He screamed, she screamed, and in the forbidden archives, the cradle opened its eyes. Pain exploded through Jake's body as the binding took hold. It felt like fire racing through his veins. The silver lines spread across his skin, connecting him to Lyra, connecting them both to something vast and ancient buried beneath the palace. The cradle. Suddenly, Jake wasn't in the throne room anymore. His consciousness shot downward, through layers of stone and metal, into the forbidden archives. And there, he saw it. The cradle wasn't a weapon, it was a tomb. Millions of minds trapped inside a massive crystalline structure, all screaming silently, begging for release. Prisoners for 12,000 years. Can you hear them? Lyra's voice echoed in his mind. She was there with him, their consciousness merged. Jake, these aren't just memories, these are actual living minds. The ancient species didn't die. They trapped themselves here, afraid of death, and forgot how to live. How do we stop them? Jake asked. We don't stop them, a third voice said. Jake spun around in the mental space. Standing before them was a figure made of light. It had no face, but Jake could feel its age, its terrible loneliness. I am what remains of the cradle's creator, the figure said.
I have waited so long for someone to understand. The others in here have gone mad from imprisonment. They want to escape by taking over every living mind they can reach. But I remember the truth." "What truth?" Lyra asked. "That living forever is not the same as living well." The figure pointed upward. "The Carillion fleet comes because their entire species is dying. A plague is killing them. They think the cradle can save them by uploading their consciousness, but it will only trap them like us." Above them, in the real world, explosions rocked the palace. The Carillion bombardment had begun. 10 minutes remaining. "We can't fight them," Jake said. "Even with the cradle's power, we can't destroy an entire fleet." "No," the figure agreed, "but you can give them what they truly need." It reached out and touched Jake's mind. Suddenly, Jake understood. He saw the solution, impossible and perfect. "Lyra," Jake said urgently, "the binding doesn't have to be permanent. The 90-day countdown isn't a death sentence, it's a choice. After 90 days, we can choose to fully merge forever, or we can choose to separate and remain individuals." "But the legends were lies to keep people afraid. Your ancestors who died didn't fail the binding. They chose to merge completely, to become one consciousness. They thought it would make them stronger. Instead, it destroyed their individuality." Lyra's eyes widened with understanding. "So if we use the cradle's power now, but refuse to merge completely, we stay ourselves, together but still separate." Jake squeezed her hand in the mental space. "Are you ready?" "Yes." They turned their combined will toward the cradle. The ancient structure resisted, millions of trapped minds screaming for freedom, demanding to absorb them. But Jake and Lyra pushed back. "We know you're in pain," Lyra said to the imprisoned minds. "We know you're afraid, but taking others' bodies won't free you. It just spreads the prison." "Let us show you another way," Jake added. They reached deep into the cradle's core and found the shutdown sequence, but instead of simply turning it off, they did something no one had tried before. They asked permission. "You can sleep," Jake said gently. "Not death, not imprisonment, just rest. And someday, maybe, someone will find a way to truly free you. But not like this, not by destroying others." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the screaming minds went quiet. Not dead, not escaped, just sleeping. Peaceful, at last. The figure of light smiled. "Thank you," it whispered. "Thank you for understanding." Then it faded away. Jake and Lyra's consciousness snapped back to their bodies. They collapsed to the floor, gasping. The silver lines on their skin were still there, but dimmer now, pulsing gently with shared heartbeats. Above them, the Carillion fleet's weapons were fully charged. 5 minutes remaining. "It's not enough," the Emperor said desperately. "The cradle is dormant. We have no defense." "Father," Zara gasped. She was on her knees, fighting the parasite inside her. "The archives. There's another system. Medical database." "Zara, what are you saying?" "The plague killing the Carillions." Blood ran from her nose as she struggled against the parasite's control. "The cure is in the cradle's medical files. The ancients had it. Give it to them. They'll stop." "How do you know this?" Jake demanded. Zara smiled weakly. "The parasite knows. It came from a Carillion. I can see their memories. They're not evil. They're just desperate." Jake looked at Lyra. Through their connection, he felt her agreement. He stood and grabbed the cradle's interface crystal from Zara's armor, the one she'd been using to communicate with it. "Computer, open a channel to the Carillion flagship," Jake commanded. "Commander, what are you doing?" the Emperor asked. "Something human," Jake replied.
The channel opened. A Krillian commander appeared on the holographic display, her gray face scarred and exhausted. "Surrender," she demanded. "Give us the cradle, or we destroy you." "I have something better," Jake said. He uploaded the medical data. "This is the cure for your plague. Free, no conditions, no trade." The Krillian commander's eyes widened as she reviewed the data. This is real?" she asked. "The cradle was never a weapon," Lyra added, stepping beside Jake. "It was a library, knowledge meant to help, not harm. Take the cure, save your people, leave us in peace." Silence filled the communication channel. The Krillian fleet's weapons remained charged. 2 minutes remaining. Then, slowly, the weapons powered down. "Why?" the Krillian commander asked quietly. "Why give this to us? We were going to kill you." Jake smiled. "Because that's what living things do. We help each other survive." The fleet began to withdraw. Within minutes, the sky was clear again. In the throne room, Zara finally stopped convulsing. The parasite went dormant. Its mission failed. She looked up at her father with her own eyes. "Papa, I'm still here." Emperor Theron pulled his daughter into his arms, weeping. Lyra turned to Jake. The silver lines on their skin still connected them, but faintly now, quietly, a bond that was there, but not overwhelming. 90 days, she said softly. 90 days to figure out if we want to stay connected or go our separate ways. No pressure, no curse, just a choice. What if I already know what I want? Jake smiled. What's that? To spend 90 days learning everything about you, and then maybe 90 more, and 90 after that. Not because of the binding, because I choose to. That sounds perfect. They kissed as the sun rose over the Valoran capital. Two people from different worlds, connected by choice rather than fate. And deep below, in the forbidden archives, the cradle slept peacefully. Its burden finally lifted. Its purpose fulfilled. Behind them, Emperor Theron stood with both his daughters, watching the sunrise together for the first time in 20 years. "Commander Morrison," the Emperor said quietly, "thank you for saving both my daughters in different ways." Jake nodded. "Just doing what humans do best, Your Majesty." "What's that?" "Choosing connection over conquest, every single time."